All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Steve Rohr, and I'm here with Chad Taylor.
Morning.
Good morning. Our Senior Manager of Business Development for TE's Hybrid and Electric Mobility Solutions business. And we're going to talk about engineering tomorrow's green vehicle technologies. Hi, Chad.
How you doing today, Steve?
Doing great. Hopefully you as well.
Doing well.
All right. Excuse me. So with that, Chad, to get us started, can you do us a favor here? Can you tell us a little bit about your background? You're an engineer and you've joined TE Connectivity. Can you help us understand when did you first know you wanted to get involved in engineering? A little bit about your path getting you from there to here now in the seat you find yourself.
Sure, I can do that. First, I'm from a small town called Sandusky, Ohio, just located between Cleveland and Toledo. Some people may know it as Cedar Point. That's our prime attraction there.
Know that.
Growing up there, I always liked space shuttle, aerospace, so I thought I was going to be an aerospace engineer, or at least I was going to be an astronaut. But then I realized that I had this slight problem with heights. So I knew that's going to kill my dream of being an astronaut. So that's when I knew I want to be in the chair designing. I wanted to be in the chair designing rather than trying to fly. So really from 7th grade on until I went to college, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And I chose The Ohio State University. I graduated as a mechanical engineer in 1997 and worked as an actual engineer at Delphi for 2.5 years in product development. Since that time, I've been in various roles from sales, product management, project management, program management, marketing, but I've always relied on my engineering skills in order to get to still bring that business side into it. So really the engineering side strengthened my business side, allowed me to make sure that any projects are being worked on tie into the business. Because when you're in the business, it's all about making money. If you're not making money, then it's a worthless project.
That's good words to live by, huh?
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, so really bringing a lot of great experience for us, and I think as we talk through some of the technologies, that'll come through strongly. So thank you, Chad. So we're here today to really talk about TE technologies that are enabling the space of green vehicles, right? And as you know, green enablers include efficiency, and TE's involved in the sensor business, right? More efficient vehicles, save fuel, et cetera, right? Within the whole realm of light weighting, whether
Yes.
it's through miniaturization, right? Less materials, or whether it's through, other lighter materials. And then the whole world of electrification, really taking the world by storm, no pun intended on that side, right? So if we could zero in a bit on the topic of electronification, yeah? What do you really see as the top challenges that are facing the industry today?
Really, the top two are education of the consumers and also just acceptance. Education first, because when you throw out these terms as fuel cell, electric vehicle, plug-in, battery electric, hybrid, full hybrid, micro, you throw that to the normal consumer, they don't have any idea what you're talking about. So really, people shy away from anything they don't understand. The second issue really is just acceptance. When you see on the news 3 Tesla batteries catching fire, or the concern of having a hybrid battery in your car, even though you drive around with a highly combustible fluid in your car. When people are not really understanding the technology, then they won't accept and be more willing to bring it in and to learn about it. Another issue is if I'm driving, I know if I leave my home, I want to run to a gas station if I'm low. If I have an electric car, my concern is, am I going to run out of charge? There's a popular term called range anxiety. Not knowing that there's going to be a charge station along my trip or somewhere on my trip, then when I get to the end of my trip, am I going to have enough juice to get back home? So solving those issues really with people would help to try and increase the market share of this market against other light vehicles.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. And you mentioned this range anxiety piece, because that fits heavily for me. And I noticed you used the term, do I have enough juice to get home, right? and I think we'll hit on some of the topic of alternative fuels, right? And what that means. But it's much different here on that, as we had talked earlier as we were preparing, on some of the the way that now we fuel vehicles is very different, and we'll get on the topic of some of that infrastructure, et cetera. So that's interesting.
Yes.
All right.
Then on top of that, also, it's the cost. Right now, there's a penalty to drive a hybrid or drive an electric vehicle. If I want to go in, I have to truly justify that cost to wash away or to reduce what I'm spending on fuel. I have to see that benefit as a consumer rather than first me to say, yes, I want this. And finally, I mentioned before with the charge anxiety or the range anxiety, I want to make sure that no matter where I go, I can get home and I can charge. If I park in a parking spot at a Kohl's or a Walmart, I'm going to be able to charge while I'm parked there. The other phenomenon that's happened is this other thing called charge rage. And that is, if I pull up to a Walmart and I'm low on charge and there's someone already parked there and they're driving a regular gasoline car, but they're not using a charging station. Now I can't charge and they're blocking the space. Or if I pull up and I start charging and I come out, now someone has taken my charge gun and put it on their car without permission. So those things now are adding this new phenomenon with this market, where it's creating this really dynamic between individuals.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. So there's technologies that are directly on the vehicle,
Yes.
right? And that's much of what we're involved with. But you're now hitting on some other topics here that really are beyond that and a broader scope. And I think it's fascinating about this phenomenon of charge rage, right?
Yes.
It would be the equivalent of in my internal combustion engine vehicle of, today I can pull up, I might have to wait in line. There might be, cars in the queue. So
Yes.
it may be 10 minutes, but it's a little bit different story with the charging stations.
Exactly.
And the amount of time to wait. And then of course, when you're charging or when you're fueling your car, a traditional ICE vehicle, you're within sight of that pump. And
Exactly.
you're with the longer charge, you're away, and who's taking your fuel? Right?
Exactly.
Wow, fascinating.
Exactly.
Any other topics on here that are key challenges?
Well, the key thing we've got to do as a market is convince the person that used to buy the V6 or the throaty V8, that high performance car, that they're going to get the same performance out of this electric car, this hybrid car. It's wrapping your mind around that this thing doesn't make any noise. So how can it give me the same type of performance as what I know what's been passed down from generation to generation? I've always bought a Ford with a V8 in it. Why can't I do that now? Why do I need an electric car? Well, part of it is you're going to save a significant amount on fuel savings. But trying to convince the public that even though you switch over to an alternative fuel, alternative propulsion, you're still going to get the same level of performance, if not increased.
Oh, got it. And then so maybe I'll add to you one piece from my side, right? That I worry about. What is keeping me from a full EV, for instance, and some of the topics you hit are absolutely spot on. I'm also a little bit concerned about just battery life in general. I know with my consumer devices, it seems to be a finite amount of time. I start seeing my devices, they get replaced before the batteries start losing some of their useful life. What are some things that are happening in the electric vehicle space to address some of those?
Good question. What a lot of what's every vehicle will automatically come in with is regenerative braking. So it gives you a little charge as you're driving or when you apply your brakes. That charges the battery pack just a little bit. But really it is having the availability of either a charging station at home, charging station at your local place that you're going, to try and make sure that you're going to get back home. But the battery packs they're making now are good for charge anywhere from a plug-in, anywhere from 40 miles up to a Tesla would get over 200 miles. So the batteries are getting better, they're getting smaller, and it's just a matter of making sure that you have a properly planned trip right now until the infrastructure can catch up.
Yeah, oh, fantastic. So a lot here that's there's key technologies we know that can completely be part of the vehicle that we're focused on strongly, but it's a much bigger picture that we talk about here, and some of the challenges to really make this a bit more mainstream. But we know there's a lot of great work going on here at TE Connectivity and elsewhere. Yeah? Fantastic.
Yes.
All right. So Chad, as we take a look at, we talk about technologies within TE, and if I take a look within, TE.com, and I know all the things we do here at our company, there are just phenomenal amounts of technology development and work that's occurring within these four walls of TE connectivity. But there's a lot of development occurring in the outside world too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening outside these walls and outside the walls, really all over our planet.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of various relationships all over the world with many universities, and we've got a very strong focus there. Can you speak a little bit to why such a strong focus, and really what's the benefit of the relationships with the universities?
Sure. Colleges and universities are the foundation. That's where this process all starts. They are research institutions. They are the ones who are looking forward instead of just looking at today. They're looking for tomorrow and the next technology. So having relationships with them also helps us to try and bring that technology and bring it into our components today. More importantly, establishing these relationships with the universities gives us exposure to their teams as well as to their students. The students get to recognize TE as a partner. They get to recognize TE as a brand, as a name. They also get familiar with our components. And hopefully we can establishing a pipeline with them where they get so familiar with us and experience with us, they now say, hey, because of what I experienced, that's the company I want to work for. So we are really strong in trying to not only make sure our components are involved with the vehicle teams, but also our engineering resources. And when they lean on us with a lot of questions, we make sure we have engineering resources available for them. And for the flip side from T, what else we get is the advanced durability of our products, because there are some teams that are doing very unique stuff. They are challenging the bounds of what engineering can do. So we are getting to see what our components can do in very extreme conditions, whether it be significant dust or extreme temperatures or extreme speed, extreme current, what have you. Any of those things we get exposure to in our components. We're able to take that data in order to make our products better.
Fantastic. So I hear correctly, summarizing some of the points you made. There's great opportunities here and benefits that occur from a very hardware tactical perspective.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That there's things we can test out components, do things a little bit differently than we might do with a customer production program. This is a little bit off to the side there. Yeah, let some experimentation occur, maybe a little bit out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an opportunity to leverage some of the knowledge base that's occurring at the universities, and at the same time, clearly, the pipeline of talent and the curriculum that occurs at many of these universities bring folks in. So I think that those are some very nice, tangible pieces. So at the risk of maybe, teeing up a loaded question for you, right? On a personal note, from either from your perspective and or and the student's perspective, what do you see as some of the benefits and even challenges that occur, but maybe on more of a personal side?
For me, it's good going back, especially having an opportunity to go back to the Ohio State University and help them. The director of the Center of Automotive Research is Dr. Rizzoni. I was in one of his first classes when he joined Ohio State in 1993, 1994. So now to be able to go back and give back what I've learned to the teams and to help them when I can has been extreme benefit. Also, it gives them a realness that what they're doing is real. They're not just doing this for a grade. They're not just doing this to get extra credit or just to pass the time by or just to get a degree. They are actually doing a project, working on a project that's going to be used by someone who's going to get a benefit from it. So then they start seeing, it gives them value, and then they start taking that value and helps them grow. So really them growing, and as well as myself growing personally, is why I stay so involved with them.
That's fantastic. That's very, very exciting. And as we know, we work a lot with the students, and you just see that twinkle in the eye, and the tireless dedication and the passion for it. It's you can see it's really more on an emotional level besides just that technical piece. So thanks for sharing that. So I heard you mentioned the term "the Ohio State" several times.
Thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
So let's start with your alma mater, the Ohio State University. And we're involved. TE's involved heavily with OSU's Center for Automotive Research, and as part of that, there's a few activities. Let's start with there's a consortium called the Smarter Car
Yes.
Consortium, and we're a member in that consortium. Can you speak a little bit to what do we get from being a member? What do we contribute by being a member?
Great. Smarter Car was formed by the Ohio State University as a means to bring together the infrastructure, the EVSE or the charging station companies, the OEMs, as well as suppliers to try and figure out this whole charging situation we're in. How can we make charging more affordable or more available? How can we make battery packs safer, more available? And what is it we need to do so that people will start growing this market and they'll be encouraged to participate in this market? And making things available as far as charging is what's going to help it grow. So we became a member because we bring to it not only what we can do on the vehicle side, our components, but also what we do on the grid side. We are a company that can marry the two technologies and two segments together. Ohio State is working on a project for us that will be announced at a later date. But hopefully when that project is announced and brought over to the United States, that will be going into the next generation where we see technology going.
Oh, fantastic. So let's stick to one of the topics you hit, and you talked about this, both the vehicle side for the technology as well as the grid side. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we know that TE connectivity really is playing in both those arenas. Yeah. And and the consortium now has activities that marry those two together, which is a little bit more of that whole picture. Yeah. With our involvement in there, do you see an opportunity there where we're able to maybe bridge those two worlds as opposed to just participating in each one individually? Oh,
definitely. What we do is we make sure that not only the meeting itself, and of course consortium members know what it is we can bring. And then because of that consortium, we've been able to funnel and partner with a lot of the other teams at Ohio State. It gave us exposure to the other teams that they have under the undercar. So being a member has been fantastic over the past few years, but just being a member was not just our goal. We wanted to make sure we made a bigger impact. And we've been able to do that by now starting to work with more of their vehicle teams that they have in car.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Thank you, Chad, for that. So let's stick with Ohio State now and the Center for Automotive Research. And there's another exciting activity that the university's been involved with for many years, and even before we came onto the scene, right? Yes. And this is the work on the Venturi Buckeye Bullet. And this is really focused, as you know, on, I'll tell the team here, on challenging speed records and really setting new benchmarks in the field of high-performance electric vehicles, including setting the land speed records at over 300 miles per hour. And they've got in their sights targeting, to enter the 400 mile per hour club, yes, right, with the electric vehicles and some alternative fuels. So can you give us a little bit of detail, Chad, about our involvement now that we've been involved the last couple of years?
Yeah, they use our high voltage, high power connectors on connection systems. They also use a lot of our harsh connectors that came from our Deutsch acquisition. And our high voltage contactors and high voltage relays are used within this vehicle. And really being on that vehicle, there's no other experience we're going to get than trying to go 300 or 400 miles an hour and doing it in a Bonneville salt flats.
Not with our test cars. Right?
No, not with the test cars here. But it's been a great experience. We've helped them along the way, and any questions they may have, we make sure that they have the appropriate people that they can talk to. And I just learned that they're on their way right now. They're on the plane right now to Utah to try and break that speed record. They're going to do a private run over the next few days and see if they can hit that 400 mile per hour mark. So we're cheering for them and hope that they are very successful.
That is absolutely fantastic that we hit there. And again, I think similar to the discussion we had earlier, just with some of the benefits and working on some of the vehicles, sounds like we've got opportunities here that even with our involvement that we can work separate projects, that they're not only validating on the vehicle, but able to use some of the independent test labs, right, that we've had. And we've done some projects with them on that side as well, right, all in parallel.
Yes, we've had them do some fusion testing for us before a few years ago. And now we're seeing once again, leveraging that research institution. And we're seeing what they can do for us on a program we've been awarded, see what they could do as far as testing and modeling from that aspect. And really learn as much as we can in a virtual world before we actually start spending money and building parts and then you're destroying stuff and throwing it out.
Gotcha.
So what we can learn from a modeling standpoint first and then build it later, knowing that it's already been proven out in the theoretical world.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you, Chad. Anything else with the Buckeye Bullet? I know you've just had a great opportunity also just interacting with the students and some, I should say, I was going to say fellow alums, but fellow soon to be alums.
Soon to be.
Yeah, from your university. How's that piece been as well?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. They were able to join us at an event at the Indy 500. I was glad to have them there with that for us. And in addition to the Buckeye Bullet team, we've been expanding out to the other teams, so an Eco Car team, as well as the Buckeye Current, which is the electric motorcycle. And with Eco Car, we was on Eco Car 2, we helped them with Eco Car 2, and they won the competition. And then Eco Car 3, which just started for this year, they finished first place. So it once again, it does us good to know that we're helping them be successful. We want to make sure we keep help them, anyone else, be successful as they're going through these competitions. With Buckeye Current, just starting our relationship with them, and we're looking to help them when their race or their challenge come up as well.
And Buckeye Current, the motorcycle.
Yes.
Motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. All right, great, thanks. So it's a little bit of a microcosm, at least one university. We'll talk about another one, and
yes.
We've got a whole bunch, so we're not going to talk every single one, but did want to highlight that, as you know, right,
mm-hmm.
we've been part of this, that just last month, we've become a gold sponsor for the University of Michigan solar car called Orem.
Yes.
And we got to participate at a great unveiling last month down
yes.
at the Henry Ford. I mean,
mm-hmm.
just a tremendous event. So the Solar Car Challenge is coming up, and there's a World Solar Car Challenge
mm-hmm.
here this year for 2015. Can you share with our viewers a little bit of information about that?
So yes, I've put my biases aside. I believe,
as hard as that may be.
As hard as that may be,
I got it.
I believe in education first over football, but it's been a pleasure to meet this team. The World Solar Car Challenge in itself is held in October in Australia, and it's a 3,000-kilometer challenge. They must travel that distance, and it's the first place wins. And I will give them credit. University of Michigan does quite well in this challenge, either nationally or in other world challenges. They've placed top 5 in the world previously. They won the national challenge 5 times in a row. This team is very dedicated and very knowledgeable, very intelligent, and they've been a pleasure to work with. We've just started our relationship with them, but we're looking forward to continuing to help them. And what I really enjoyed about this team is they really engaged our engineers, our engineering experts, from a connection side or a relay side. They're exchanging emails and having conference calls with our experts directly, and they're asking very intelligent questions and the right questions in order to get what they need. And we're doing what we can to make sure that they're going to be successful in Australia once they ship their car off in September and have to make the race in October.
Yeah, got it. And maybe along those lines, and sticking to some of these sports analogies that we talked about, right? Chad and I happen to be coming to all of you from Troy, Michigan, here in suburban Detroit. So U of M is really our home team,
mm-hmm.
right? As tough as that might be.
I accept it.
Just a phenomenal university, some great work going on, and getting involved here again on the alternative fuels and the solar side is tremendous. So it's an honor for us and a pleasure to become that sponsor, and we really do look forward to working a lot more. So, what do you see as maybe what's next with that relationship with the University of Michigan?
Well, I would like to see it expand. It is very young. We're just starting within the past couple months, but we'd like to expand not only to other teams, but then also what are other products we can expose them to, from our sensor technology, our high-speed data, lighting, any of those other technologies that we have. What is it that we can provide to either a solar team or to any of the other vehicle teams that may have? More importantly, though, is since, as you mentioned, they're in our backyard, there's a lot of talent there. So what is we could do for that talent to now start transitioning into TE, become familiar with TE, our products, what we do, how we do it. And now they can start becoming employees of TE, continue to give back as they've been doing on their vehicle teams. And to really emphasize the point as to this relationship really started from an email through our corporate site from Medina Lee. She sent an email through our corporate site through the contact us portion. And from that, it came down to yourself and you got me involved. And for now, we're here today where we're now a gold sponsor. So I would encourage anyone looking for a sponsorship of a team or help with a team, just go to te.com, contact us, and then we will see how we can help you. But really looking forward to continuing to work with U of M. It is a very energetic team, and that energy helps to keep us going. It keeps making our jobs fun, knowing that one day back several years ago, I won't say how many, but I was sitting in that chair with them, and now able to help them understand the other aspect of it. It's been a pleasure to work with them.
Yeah, it's been, I'll share as well, right? I've had an opportunity to go down to Ann Arbor a few times, and the students there are just absolutely inspiring, and the passion, dedication, just fantastic, and could help us tremendously. And it's, like I say, a pleasure for us and an honor to be part of that activity. And so we've hit a little bit of detail on two universities, and I think it's just important to know that, to the point you made about some of the sponsorship, we're involved with many universities around the world. We happen to highlight two that we're intimately knowledgeable about because of where we're sitting. But we do have lots of other universities all over the world here in, on at least 3 continents that I can think of, probably 4, that, that we have some levels of engagement and sponsorship, and just a phenomenal opportunity for us to really advance our technologies, and at the same time, get some gains and some give back on those pieces.
Yeah, that's a great point. Our colleagues in India, they helped a local university win their electric car competition there. Our colleagues in Poland, with partnership from us, partnered with a university there that's going to have an entry in the World Solar Challenge as well. So we were able to help them as well. But here in North America, we have over 20 partnerships with universities, different universities and colleges. And it'd be as small as just providing a simple package of components to them, to as big as getting to the technical consultation and assistance. So it's several universities ranging from, as we mentioned, we spoke a lot about U of M and Ohio State, but North Carolina State, Penn State, Stanford, several colleges we've helped. On and on and on. The list is long, and we don't mind that list growing, because we look at it as not only a benefit, but also an investment in someone, investment in university, and also selfishly an investment in us, because an investment in our technology to find out what it is truly our technology can do.
And really a win-win, and then ultimately win kind of proposition. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Chad. So sticking now with the topic of, we talked about the solar challenge. You mentioned that we're not only with the University of Michigan, but with the University at Lodz in Poland, and others that we're providing, right? A lot of discussion around alternative energy. So solar, hydrogen, batteries, wind, all these types of things, and just, and on, right? So with a lot of activity in these alternative fuels that are occurring for propulsion, what are some of the big trends, developments, that we should keep an eye on, right? Do we see that, I'm going to be driving around with a windmill on top of my car? I think the laws of physics would be violated, right? But, help frame some of that if you could.
Yeah, the windmill may make it tough to park in the parking lot. Just a thought. There's some engineer who did it.
In Holland, yeah.
But really, it's interesting to see what happens on the infrastructure side, because really you always hear the complaint against what is your total carbon footprint. Not just you have a clean vehicle, a green vehicle. Yes, that's nice, but that vehicle was made, or the electricity that the vehicle is using came from something burning coal. Well, now with the advent of solar, of wind technologies on the infrastructure side, that's where you're going to start seeing the benefit, and really people will see now getting a more cleaner carbon footprint. Some of those technologies, are they able to make it to the vehicle side? Some of them have. Solar, for instance, as strange as it may sound, is not just a solar car, but solar panels on top of a car. The Fiscal Karma, when it was introduced in 2012, had solar panels, and the sole purpose of those panels was to take a burden of the accessories of the car off of the main grid of the car. So you may still see some things like that with solar. The technology is still too young and not as robust to make solar power an entire car without recharge. But the technology is coming. Hydrogen with fuel cells is growing technology. Toyota and Hyundai Kia have invested heavily in it. That's a technology that is growing significantly in Japan. Fuel cells, hydrogen, and significant investment by the Japanese government. And it's because of their limited resources that they have. But fuel cells are growing there. The concern here in the U.S. with fuel cells is not the safety, but at the infrastructure. At last count, there were probably only 12 to at most 15 fueling stations in the entire U.S. So unless the infrastructure catches up with fuel cells, it's not going to be as predominant here. But other technologies, really, U.S. is going to be focused on 48 volt hybrids, electric vehicles, and that's why so much investment has been made into the infrastructure of getting our charging infrastructure in place, charging stations available, charging stations readily available, and looking at different technologies as far as smart metering, smart charging, so that way your charging and who you are as a person, who your account is as a person, travels with you. You just plug into a charging station, a port, and then it recognizes you, automatically charges you at the rate you want, and you can keep going. Other technologies you probably see in the U.S., wireless charging. You can charge when you pull into your garage. You don't have to worry about plugging in. Just pull over a mat and start charging and going. And on top of that, after wireless charging, what they're looking at for a lot in the UK is charging while you're driving. If you do wireless charging, you keep driving, you never have to stop. That's the ultimate dream. So there are different technologies that are being looked at where we're going from a technology standpoint. I don't think one is going to win. It's going to be more of which one do I want. It's going to be the equivalent of right now, I could go into a dealership and buy maybe an inline 3, an inline 4, a V6, a V8. Now what's happening is OEMs are making electrification powertrains as different powertrain options. So me paying a premium, I just have a choice. I just pick a button. I want a hybrid on this car, or I want a plug-in, and it'll be the same price point for either one that they want. That's where this market is more going, to make it affordable rather than continue to treat it as a premium entity.
So if I may, there's a lot in there, right? Mm-hmm. In the piece, I think there were two key takeaways that mm-hmm. I want to make sure I have right. Mm-hmm. One was around the whole notion around the infrastructure piece, mm-hmm. that there's opportunities here for alternative power and everything else that fits on that infrastructure side, and we need that for reduced carbon footprint, et cetera. Absolutely mm-hmm. critical. And then tied to that is then how you would then transfer that power to the vehicle yes. side. Yeah? Yes. The next piece that is a key takeaway then is over on that vehicle end. Mm-hmm. And on that end, if I'm picking it up right, Chad, it's all around the efficiency aspect mm-hmm. to it. Yeah. And so whether we're efficiently bringing in wireless power, whether we're using solar panels as an addendum, if you will, to the main power generation mm-hmm. for the vehicle propulsion, we can use solar to power peripherals, right? We're all bringing in, our devices into vehicles, all those mm-hmm. kinds of things. So it's about efficiency. Driving needs for sensing, right? To do that more efficiently, more effective, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So a huge landscape and a huge opportunity, which is really where TE is focused on and investing both infrastructure side and vehicle side, and where we need some very good, sharp engineers to come help and join the team and be part of that solution here for a very exciting industry going forward.
Exactly.
That was my takeaway. That worked.
Perfectly summarized.
Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. So let's have had some great discussions here, and we talked a lot about our external piece mm-hmm. and with universities. We talked about all these challenges here. I'm going to guess I'm not the first one that noticed here. I'm assuming the folks here that have joined us, that beautiful bright orange shirt you're wearing.
Yes.
And here, and I happen to see an Andretti Auto,
Andretti Auto Sport, yes,
logo on the side of your shirt. So I want to hit this topic here. So I say funny, right? So TE is a very proud sponsor of the Andretti Formula E race team. And we're the lead technology partner for Andretti Technologies. And yesterday, hopefully some of the people that have joined us here today, that we're able to see that Roger and Rich and Alan and Karen participated in an excellent live panel discussion on the topic. So not looking to repeat that, but from the discussion we've been having here and leveraging outside and the excitement and the pipeline, et cetera, how do you see these types of newly formed relationships that's occurring? How does that impact the work here, and specifically your team's work here at TE Connectivity?
Yeah, this is the fun stuff. When you get to see, put in your stuff, not only on an actual vehicles on the road, but now you're involved in the racing side. And our partnership with Formula E, for those who don't know, Formula E is the electric vehicle racing arm of Formula One in Europe. And to be a part of that, become a major sponsor of Andretti for that has been very exciting. We not only look to put our sensors and other technologies on it, but our high voltage components, our contactors, relays, also our connection systems. And any data that we get from that, when this vehicle is traveling at 210 miles per hour on, have to make very agile moves, that data helps us design better components. Also, there's not much space in these vehicles. So now it's forcing us to, okay, how do we design and now make components smaller, but they still got to carry these large loads. And finally, these vehicles with these races have very specific delivery times. They have very tight and very specific schedules they have to meet. So that trains us to stay on task, stay on point with our delivery. We're able to take those lessons, bring that back to our customer base. So now we are no longer lagging or missing days, but we're taking that and we're becoming more efficient. And how we can take that and not miss any days, not miss deliveries, but we're in advance of getting those deliveries out. So not only is this relationship helping us from a component and technology standpoint, but it's also helped us from a supply chain and logistical standpoint as well.
Yeah, so here we get an opportunity to put some TE early product development on a vehicle, and it's kind of racetrack proven in advance of working with customers. The team that Roger's leading and the others at Andretti Technologies just unbelievable. Really pushing the envelope here on driving the future here, and some opportunities that we really would expect to see here in production down the road that we get to be participating with and developing hand in hand here today. So a lot of opportunities on that componentry side, not just in the high voltage side, the E part of the Formula E, but really high speed data needs that have to occur with all the various sensing and telemetry that's got to happen. And so a great opportunity from that side, which is fantastic. And like you had also stated, and we heard Karen Leggio yesterday describe, this is an opportunity to also help TE internally think about how fast is fast when it comes to developing product, right? In a different kind of life cycle, different type of need, right? Redesigning, but race to race to everything that's got to happen there. So I think a phenomenal opportunity. And
yes, it is.
So it's so exciting from a personal standpoint, but also very exciting here from really helping TE just continue to focus on extraordinary customer experience and getting better and faster each and every day.
Exactly.
So thanks. Yeah, no, fantastic, Chad. So Chad, I think we're getting to the end of our time together, and it's been fantastic. I've got a wrap-up question for you, right? So I've got a young daughter that's a mechanical engineering student at the University of Pittsburgh.
Good choice and degree.
And we've talked a lot about all these technologies and in the automotive space and with electric vehicle space, and then really focused on the green technologies. What do you see as some of the key, again, wrapping up our discussion, some of the key technology needs that are, on the horizon for green vehicles, with a real here, emphasis on the types of thing that the TE Connectivity is not only focused on and working today, but, expect to be working on and need help for the future and those young engineers in the pipeline?
Right. And that's a great question. Really, the focus right now is how do we get more with less? And that means I need more power. Power is not coming out of vehicles. If anything, it's getting more. Onboard chargers, which charges the vehicle, and plug-in electric vehicles are getting bigger, but the space that they're in is not getting bigger. So how can I get the same amount of power out of a device, but make it smaller? So what technologies are there that exist, or what can we invent, or what can we use from another industry, another segment to bring in that will help us? With things getting smaller, they need to get lighter. It still is a savings that needs to occur either from an electricity standpoint or from a fuel savings. Things have to get lighter to improve your fuel economy, whether it's calculated or it's actual. And really, with the smaller packages, they got to be reliable. We got to look at alternative materials. They got to be safer, and they got to be able to prevent any type of if an event may occur, it's got to protect the driver. Ultimately, even though the vehicle may be green, safety is always first, and safety is always key. So right now, and this was another point that was made during the live broadcast and Dre TV broadcast yesterday, was engineering degrees now are starting to morph into these combo degrees. It's really becoming less and less of a, it's going to be very specific. There's now no longer need really in the automotive for electrical engineer purely, or mechanical engineer purely. Those degrees now are starting to mesh together. Even myself, my senior year, I spent time studying mechatronics and electromechanical because I knew that those things are naturally intertwined once again. And now in today's society, it's becoming even more and more. Now, once you start adding in wearable technology and smart technology, start factoring in the new term Internet of Things, now you're no longer to be an expert of one. You kind of got to be a knowledge base of a few things and know how to bring those different things together.
So the world of the electrical engineer designing the controller and then handing it to a mechanical engineer to package it up and make the box. Those days are numbered, right?
They're getting numbered.
We're really looking for people that are very well versed, cross trained. We always need specialists and need those specialties for sure. But great opportunities here in systems and systems architecture approaches, and that whole broad curriculum across engineering is something very important here that companies need, and is a very key skill set, and really what the industry is demanding.
And we have mechanical engineers, and I've met mechanical engineers by degree, but they're doing electrical and systems work. And we have electrical engineers by degree who are doing packaging and studies of that nature. So really our industry and our market is becoming a hybrid, because it's meshing together, but it's evolving. And it's evolving to make things better, smaller, faster, and more reliable.
All right, fantastic. And so great opportunities for the students thinking about paths to take, and the engineering needs are key. And from our industry in particular, right, smaller, lighter, right, the miniaturization, the efficiency piece, material science is very key. All of these just very important here to really drive in addition to the green technologies, but really all the technologies in the transportation space.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So with that, Chad, I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate that. And I do encourage everyone that's joining. First of all, thank you all for joining us. Very much appreciated. And more information can be found at our website at te.com. And you can see all the exciting technologies that are both ready today and in play as well. So on behalf of Chad and I, we thank you and wish everyone a good day. Thanks now.
Thank you.